When we hear the word victim, it sounds quite tragic and depressing. When you get stuck in a victim mentality, you lose the ability to be truly happy, and most likely you believe that any of your attempts to make positive changes will surely fail, so there's no point in even trying. You often feel anxious and you dread that life might throw even more adversity at you. Perhaps you even believe that you deserve to be miserable. You may think that you're not smart enough to get a good job or be successful, not pretty enough to be loved by someone. Today, I would like to challenge these thoughts with you because they are useless to have. And let's discuss in more detail how can you shift your mindset away from being a victim and feeling sorry for yourself. If you see me for the first time, my name is Karina and welcome to Universesoul, a channel about psychology and complex human nature. I'm very happy to see you here. When you think like a victim of circumstances, the fact that you're unhappy, upset, or angry is of course someone else's fault. When you think, this person is annoying, or this person hurt my feelings, or this person made things very difficult for me, all you do is putting the keys to your happiness in someone else's pocket. Someone else decides now when you can be happy and when you can't. And if everything isn't as you would like it to be, it's certainly the monsters around you who are to blame, like your partner, friends, children, colleagues, the government, and so on. This kind of perspective keeps you from identifying your strength and developing your skills, your healthy ego and self-confidence. For some reason, we are totally aware that when we eat junk food or party a lot, when we drink too much, don't get enough sleep, there's a limit to it, and at some point we detox. We try to eat more vegetables and fruits, we move somewhere closer to nature. So the realization that we're harming our body is very clear, but absolutely not clear when we do the same to our mind. We stuff it with negative attitudes, we sabotage ourselves, we come up with various excuses, we ignore ourselves and our true feelings. Of course, when you experience a traumatic event, you may feel like a victim for a while. If you have been harassed, abused, scammed, betrayed, then it's perfectly normal to consider yourself a victim and feel sorry for yourself to integrate these negative events. In this situation, taking full responsibility and blaming yourself will be inappropriate, so it's natural to feel offended, used, abused, forgotten, or neglected. But, as always, there is a but. If you think and feel like a victim for most of your life, even when the traumatic events are long behind you, then it's a distorted thinking pattern that has no value. It just makes you blind to the possibilities that could potentially help you change your circumstances and create the life you really want to have. The reason people tend to stay in a victim mentality is the fact that it does offer some benefits. However, they're totally artificial and in the long run they will only harm you. For example, you may get attention from others and you might enjoy that others worry about you or they try to help you. Being a victim can be convenient, so no one demands anything from you. It's your excuse to do nothing. If someone has done something wrong and begs you for your forgiveness, it strikes your ego. You're right and they're not. When you're a victim, there is no need to go beyond your comfort zone, even when everything is ugly, but at least it's predictable. You don't need to take responsibility, because taking responsibility for your own life is hard work, let's be honest. You must constantly transform and reinvent yourself, and there are no guarantees it will lead anywhere. Nah, it's too complicated. It's easier to manipulate, blame life, criticize others, lower other people's expectations towards yourself. The victim mentality is actually quite common. It often develops as a coping mechanism and may be the result of the difficult childhood or adolescence experiences. Not necessarily in the form of abuse, just as a reaction to the dysfunctional and negative dynamics of the people around. And in general, today's society lives in a victim mindset. Most people on our planet are suppressed and they have no output for their aspirations and creativity. Generation after generation, parents tell their children to follow the system, not their inner calling. Yes, it looks a bit better than 100 years ago, but still. And as a result, this limited angle of seeing things just turns into a habit. It's more practical, it's more convenient, and usually people choose what they already know. Regardless of the reason, being a victim only leads to even more obstacles. You will constantly seek the approval of others, and your sense of security, abundance, freedom, self-worth will always depend on others. You will often feel like you are being used, and you will focus on what you don't have, on the lack of something. Everyone who is a victim struggles putting an end to this self-pity, and a sense of powerlessness haunts them all their lives. This state is very restricted and far from any success, authenticity, inner freedom, expansion, your sexual expression even. And in fact, what happens is that you have an abusive relationship with yourself, and you don't see that there is a better option. Thinking that you are not a victim but a creator starts with the realization that yes, not everything is always under your direct control, and terrible things do happen in the world, and perhaps you also faced something very traumatic and you can't change that, but you, my dear friend, you still have a choice how to react to it. The Creator doesn't waste his precious time and energy on accusations and complaints. Instead, he takes concrete actions to get out of the situation as soon as possible and achieve his goals. This gives him a unique advantage over any situation. Negativity can't just break him just because it tries to break him. On the contrary, people who live outside the victim's mentality are often ignited by injustice, and they make sure similar things won't happen again, not only in their lives, but also in the lives of others. 32 years ago, Helen McCourt went missing in the north of England. She was only 22. Helen was returning home from work around 5 p.m., a common routine, but she didn't come home on time. At first, her family, they attributed this to bad weather. It was February, cold, with terrible winds that day, and for the first few hours no one triggered the alarm. But closer to the night, excuses that she missed her bus or it broke down somewhere, they no longer helped. And remember, there were no mobile phones at that time. So the family contacted the police, and the police found out that after she got off the bus, she disappeared. The fact that her house was literally around the corner from the bus stop, and how is it possible to disappear into nowhere at such a short distance, puzzled everyone. Volunteers began to look for her, thinking that she might have slipped, maybe hit her head and now is laying unconscious somewhere. But the investigation eventually led to a pub that was on this street and its owner, Ian Sims. The police found traces of blood in his car as well as part of Helen's earring, and on top of it, bloodstains and fibers from Helen's clothes were also found in his apartment above the pub. As this evidence piled up, it became clear that Sims had a long-standing grudge against Helen for refusing to date him, and that evening he most likely lured her into the pub under the excuse to talk, but ended up beating her badly because the bloodstains on the wallpaper were typical of multiple blows, and also a piece of electrical wire was found with Helen's hair on it, so the police concluded that he strangled her. The most painful part of this story is that Helen's body was never located, and Ian always denied he had anything to do with her disappearance. But the forensic evidence was so overwhelming that he did receive a life sentence, even without the body, however, with an option to get out in 16 years. The absence of the body caused endless trauma to Helen's family. They didn't have the opportunity to properly mourn her, hold a funeral, come to peace with this situation. And the fact that Ian could be free in less than 20 years caused lots of frustration. Marie, Helen's mother, refused to become a victim of this situation. Although yes, she lived through any parent's worst nightmare, losing your child so early. Marie launched a campaign calling for legal amendments to prevent the parole of murderers who refused to share what they did to the body. Unfortunately, while this campaign was in its development, Ian got out of prison. But even considering this fact, Marie still didn't give up, and in 2020 she finally achieved her goal. And now in England, killers who hide the information about bodies are very likely to be denied an early release. And Helen's law also applies to pedophiles who collect or film obscene images of children but don't disclose the names or the circumstances in which it was done. Why am I telling you this story? I think it's obvious. If Marie remained in a victim mindset, she wouldn't fight, and nothing would change in current laws, and there would be less justice in our world. Yes, she can't bring her daughter back, but she did a great job. She drew attention to the weaknesses in criminal law. If there was something similar in your life, you lost a loved one, ask yourself, what does this situation show me? Is there anything good that can come out of this? What will I do differently now? What will other people do differently? When you focus on success and achieving your goals, even when you face agonizing events, you develop your authority to provoke a positive change, and you inspire others to do the same, so they can voice their pain, and most importantly, they can heal their pain. Acknowledge that yes, there are things you have no control over, like difficult life circumstances, death of loved ones, dysfunctional families, bad weather, terrorism, but there are things over which you hold complete power. Your thoughts, feelings, and actions. For example, if your girlfriend dumped you, yes, you can't change the fact that she left you, but you can change the fact that it upsets you so much and makes your life so miserable. If you only blame her, she is bad, she is insensitive, she is selfish, she started dating someone else behind your back, then your only way to stop feeling so bad is to wait for her to change, to come running to you, to beg for your forgiveness, to turn back time. But how realistic is this? So if you look at it through the lens of the victim, you just have to wait for this utopian scenario to unfold. And then I have another question for you. Does it really make you strong, or does it actually debilitate you? So how do you shift from being a victim to thinking and feeling like a creator? If you're still watching this video, then you have already started the process, and it's great. My congratulations. Your next step is to admit that your constant criticism of the outside world is just a reflection of your inner state, in which you constantly let yourself down. Draw an imaginary line right now on your whole life. On one side, in your past, you were a victim, and on the other side, starting today, you are the creator. Back then, you often felt sorry for yourself and you blamed everything around. You can go through some situations when you especially lived in a victim mode. How did you feel back then? What exactly happened? Have you managed to become happy? I doubt that the answer is yes. Now, stepping over to the other side, everything changes. You choose to take responsibility for your life. When you are in charge of your life, you challenge your old perception of reality. You begin to view your problems as opportunities rather than obstacles, and any struggles are just your navigation tool. When you see it this way, you begin to trust your intuition more. You become more curious, more productive, and believing in yourself becomes easy. An expansion of your consciousness will encourage you to be your authentic self. And most importantly, it will help you answer the most mysterious question every person on this planet has. Why am I here? When you are in the creator mode, you feel more alive, full of energy, more creative and spontaneous, playful, romantic, stylish. How are you feeling now? What is going on inside you? Develop your emotional intelligence. It plays a crucial role in any success. It's the ability to recognize and understand your own emotions. It's also the awareness how your actions and your moods impact other people. Pay attention to your feelings. Don't fight them, just listen to their wisdom. When needed, express them, but do this in a kind way, even when you're angry. The best way to rise above your anger is to explain how you feel, not who is to blame for it. For example, don't start sentences with you. You made me feel this way. It's all your fault. If you didn't do this, I wouldn't be so frustrated. Instead say, I feel, I hoped, I believed, I'm upset because this situation exposed something I didn't expect to see. And this way, people will be more responsive to you. Work on your inner attitude that invites personal growth and opportunities, not blame and outrage. If you again tell yourself, I can't, I'm not worthy, it's all too difficult, this is the victim mode. In these moments, ask yourself, in what way such attitude helps you to become the best version of yourself? Probably in no way, because being negative towards yourself has no advantages. It's a dead end. Work on developing empathy as well, the ability to understand how others feel. If you can put yourself in someone else's shoes, it will help you establish a closer, more genuine relationship with them. Practice gratitude. Feeling grateful is a very powerful tool that helps you attract even more positive situations in your life. And as a result, the victim mentality will lose its appeal. If you are ascending into a cave pointing your torch on a bare wall only, that's one perspective, which doesn't allow you to see a beautiful lake behind you. You need to turn around, don't you? Learn to forgive and ask for forgiveness. Carrying a grudge only exacerbates any traumatic aftertaste and keeps you trapped in a victim mentality. Science has already proven that forgiveness reduces anxiety and depression, boosts people's self-esteem, and even makes their immune system stronger. If you are the person who needs forgiveness, then honestly evaluate and admit your mistakes and how they affected others. Sincerely ask for forgiveness without making excuses. Just say that you are very sorry and it also hurts you from the inside that the situation turned out this way. But don't force forgiveness. Invite it. If you dig deeper, then everything is based on self-love or its absence. What does a person who loves themselves mean? Well, firstly, they radiate calm energy. In their presence, there is no anxiety. It's easy to be yourself with them. They don't criticize you, they don't bully you. Yes, of course, they can express constructive criticism because they care, but not because they're trying to bring you down and demotivate you. Secondly, they always choose growth and expansion, whether it's relationships, the country in which they live, their work, and so on. And thirdly, they treat people well in general. They see this world as one organism, and if they hurt someone, they hurt themselves above all. And what's the opposite of self-love? You might say hate or non-acceptance. Well, I agree with you, but what's beneath really? Beneath are fears. Fear of being yourself, fulfilling your dreams, finding your calling, choosing relationships that make you a better person, not that evoke your worst side. Fear of being successful, fear of being independent, fear of being rich. This list goes on and on. The victim mentality is a fear mentality. It's the exact opposite of self-love. It's very simple, really. Thank you for joining me today. Please like this video, feel free to share or comment below, and subscribe to my channel if you wish to learn more about psychology, human mind, relationships, and more. You might discover yourself from a new perspective, or other people's motivations will become clearer to you. Maybe you're striving for a sense of belonging and warm, supportive community. This channel is for you then. For now, I wish you a fantastic day. Take care of yourself. Bye.